Welcome, everybody, to the Morss Clan podcast. We are your hosts, Olivia and Robert Morss.
I got the
Yes, in all your incredible femininity glory.
Oh, I know.
So thank you for tuning in here on this podcast. It's very special and unique because you're going to get a lot with a little. You're going to get the J6 perspective. A lot of you want to know what it was like either behind bars or on the run in my wife's case, or what we think of the world today. You're going to get a little bit of that, but you're also going to get a little bit of what the married J6 life is like. As you all know, Olivia and I are now married 2 months now. Ching, ching. I think we're about to celebrate, 3 months almost? Yep. That's a quarter of a year. We're doing work. What that's like. And as you well know, some of you out there have written us, you've followed our story as individuals, and you guys couldn't have been happier to learn that Olivia and I fell in love and became a married couple. So this is for you guys. Yeah. And we're trying to do the right thing and create a marriage that's based off of scripture and doing the right thing, based off the way God would have intended it. We read the Bible every morning, and we're doing our best to try to build this house on the rock. You're also going to get the inside sneak peek only through America First Warehouse Network based off of what we're up to, which is the full-length feature film based on January 6th and our love story. So this is the only place you can find it, America First Warehouse Network, where you're going to learn what Lego Man Productions is up to, our company, and all of the movie-making action. We're going to report to you on that. And then last but not least, we're going to build up everyone around us, whether it's America First Warehouse, other January 6ers and their businesses, or the Lord itself. We are going to do everything we can to make sure that this podcast benefits as many patriots as possible. Because if you think about it, that's a demographic that's really going to determine whether or not this country lives or dies.
Yes, and unfortunately, that demographic is getting smaller and smaller. And yeah, there's been other...
We can change that, though, baby.
Well, anyways, there's been other J6 couples we know that, had to go through the whole January 6th 4-year saga, either separated or incarcerated together, or, but it's a little bit different with our situation because we went through those 4 years alone, didn't know each other, knew of each other. Well, I knew of you, but I didn't know you until
she likes
afterwards.
to call it, research?
It was definitely research.
But it's by definition, stalking. Speaking of definitions, we have a word of the day for you, and we have a verse of the day for you. But I'll let ladies go first. You're going to learn something at the Morss Clan podcast.
Okay.
Every episode, you'll walk away better.
We have too many of those already.
Yeah, you can tone down the sirens. Go ahead.
So our verse of the day, since we're on the theme of family and starting our own family, Joshua 24:15. And if it seems evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which were the fathers served, or on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.
That's huge. I like that. A lot of people only get that last portion of that verse, but it's powerful to know that there's other gods to choose from, and many people are choosing poorly, but we choose Yahweh, the God of Isaac, Abraham. Yeah, that's our God. That's our King.
And unfortunately, like you said, so many people are choosing the wrong gods, but also are making things their gods, whether it be, their free time or themselves, or just anything that they put above the Lord can be a god. You can put your family and make your family your god. I feel like a lot of families struggle with, especially once they start having kids, and women in particular, they almost make their children their god, or they center their whole lives around that. So they neglect their husband, they neglect their time with the Lord personally, and it's all about the kids. It's all about, what do they need, what do they want, and it's so out of, it's not balanced.
We're probably going to encounter that.
Yeah, issue. We can't speak on it.
Not yet.
We don't have kids yet, but watching my parents.
Not yet.
They had 8 kids. I'm the second of 8.
Yeah.
And so, that was definitely a constant struggle of trying to balance the whole, family life and all that. But one thing I do appreciate.
You're probably about to answer my own question. How do you balance that? Like, how do you determine whether or not something is your God or not? Even if it's something as significant as your own flesh and blood, your children.
Well, watching my parents and how they worked it out it was almost like my dad was good about having family meetings. And when things got to where it was, off, or people were kind of at each other's throats and it became tense, we were like, okay, we're calling for a family meeting. And it was like a time where we could reevaluate where we were going as a family. Mom and dad did that when they went on date nights, but it was always like,
and they deliberately did that, right?
Deliberately did that. We deliberately had times where we're
date
having
your
a family,
spouse, ladies and gentlemen,
family meeting. Everyone had a chance to kind of like, okay, I think this is, getting out of hand, or I think we should go this way. And everybody had an opinion. Everybody was able to have a chance to say what they wanted to say. But then as a family, we decided, okay, this is getting a little bit too much, like whether it was TV or something, like we're watching too much TV, we're wasting too much time, tone it down. That was our time where we were like, okay, we need to reevaluate what we're doing, get back on track.
How often would you guys read the Bible together?
We went through, so we tried to do it every day for a little while, and then we do it together for every day. But then life would happen and people would get busy, or jobs. When we were younger, my dad was a little bit better at that. But we tried to do it every day. It didn't always happen.
Hey, we read the Bible every morning.
We do.
Though we might not wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning like we should.
Try.
Hey, the first thing we do, though, before, we check the gram and email and text back and stuff, is we read the Bible, whether it's the paper version or the one on the Bible app. We make sure that we read it every day. Yeah. And it's now become an expectation. Yeah. And it's crazy too. It's like when you work out, when you read the Bible, you totally feel fulfilled. Can you pull up the definition? Because we promised you guys a word of the day, and you got the verse of the day. Now you're going to get a word of the day. Word of the day is ameliorate.
Robert's favorite word.
It is. You know why? This is why. Because ameliorate means to make a bad, unpleasant, or oppressive situation better, more tolerable, or more satisfactory. It's spelled Ameliorate, ameliorate. The point of this podcast is to help you ameliorate something in your life, whether it's your marriage, your relationship with God, or your relationship with your country. And we want this podcast to not only entertain you, but also inspire you to ameliorate things in your life.
And that's right. And like going back to the whole like ameliorate a problem, right before January 6th, I know we're running out of time, but I'll try to be quick. You said, how often did I read the Bible? I got to a point where I was so busy and so, caught up with work, trying to get things done there. There would be things with the family. I just got so busy and so cluttered. I, went to church and stuff, but it wasn't that personal relationship with God, and like just taking time to read the Bible was so sporadic and so like spread out. It would be months would go by and I hadn't even opened my Bible or hadn't even looked on the Bible app on my phone. And one thing that happened, like God almost sat me down and was like, okay, you're not going to spend time with me. I'm going to take everything away from you.
I want to spend time with you.
And all you have is God. And so through those months and those years of only having God to rely on, whether it was a time when we were on the run or when I was in jail alone, it was like God was like, okay, I'm going to give you that almost family meeting time where it was like God's like, okay, we got to reevaluate our lives. We got to get back on track. And I fell in love with the Lord again just by getting in his word. Because there'd be sometimes we go through, a stage, I'm like, Lord, just help me fall in love with your word again. Help me, get to where I like enjoy reading the Bible or like just want to take time to do it. Because, you can take time all you want to do stuff, but then it's like Instagram calls or Facebook calls, and you're just like spending 15, 20, sometimes hour on your phone, and you're like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
Where did the time go?
There's that acronym BUSY, which is spelled out being under Satan's yoke. And so, the enemy can throw all kinds of things your way to distract you. One, from taking a Sabbath, which we're not even really that good at.
Yeah, we got to get better.
We got to get better at that.
We take like half days, but not
all these excuses. I can't go to church. I can't go to Bible study. I can't tithe. I can't do this because of all these excuses that Satan has designed in your life. You actually hit on a good point. I know we only got about a minute 30 in this segment, but when I was locked up, I requested a Bible. I was in the Allegheny County Jail, and I requested a Bible, and the chaplain that had given it to me had placed my request for him in the same page where the story of Joseph being sold by his brothers in Genesis begins. And so whether you were aware of what was going on in January 6th or not, or whether or not the chaplain intended to do that, it was intimately designed by God for our benefit. Yeah. And sometimes one of the lessons that I've learned, especially with making this company and a movie at the same time, is that if there's no progress after all the, wheels that I've pushed, it's actually designed for me to slow down, pray for God's company to be in my heart and in our lives, and for me to realize I need to spend time with him. It's deliberate. Yeah. God is a gentleman. He doesn't go where he's uninvited, and he takes his people out on dates like you and I would take each other out.
Yep. Ameliorate the problems.
Yes.
Well, that's exciting. Present. Well, hopefully through the rest of this, podcast, as it continues on, we mention different things. You're like, oh, well, what are you talking about? We'll explain it more. And we'll be able to get a little bit more in depth with,
or just reach out to us,
different parts of our lives and our stories, and be able to share those. But we're excited.
Or read our books.
Oh, or his book. I'm still working on mine. I have what we call a pamphlet in the making.
We'll tell you me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic place in all the land. Hey, I'm here getting cleansed up. You know why? Because Sugar Creek Goods is a great place by patriots, making patriot soaps, making me smell nice. And that's what's nice. Who wants to go down the street and smell of somebody bad in New York City? Hey, by the way, what's this thing for?
250 years ago, a nation was born. Built on courage, driven by freedom, defined by patriots who stood their ground. Today, we don't just remember that legacy, we wear it. This is more than a shirt. It's a symbol of strength, freedom, and pride. I'm Steve Stern, COO of theflagshirt.com, and I invite you to celebrate 250 years of the United States with us. Wear your pride, stand for something, get your shirts today.
You know what is more disappointing than Gino Bisconte, everyone?
My sex life?
No, bad cell service. Let's make fun of Gino. Oh, wait, he's here.
Well, speaking of the opposite of his sex life, these people have towers that are huge, and they're everywhere. And while you're traveling, you can use these huge towers, patriotmobile.com / it bends to the right, I don't have to tell you, TAFW. And then you can talk about me behind my back.
Patriotic people doing patriotic things.
Corporate transfer, fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
Agara coffee. Why? Because it increases focus.
This is T-Mac, the Patriot, and I love Patriot products like Sugar Creek Goods. Check it out today on our website.
It's me, Joe the Box. And I'm John the Blanket with the America First Podcast.
That's what I'm talking about. The Fred Rubino Podcast, coming to you from the America First Warehouse.
Welcome, everybody, to the James Justice Show, tearing these airwaves apart with all the craziness that goes on in the world.
Welcome to the Patriots Podcast. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the On the Right Side podcast here at the America First Warehouse in Long Island, New York.
Shane Jenkins here with another episode of Liberty's Cage.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Red, Right, and True.
We are streaming live on America First Media and Television app.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Downey Jr. podcast. Be free, stay free.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned. Thanks for having a good time with us. We're glad you're here. and we're glad that we're married.
Yep. Morss Clan podcast right here.
Morss
Just
Clan
starting
podcast.
up. First episode. We're
Yes.
glad you're here. We're excited.
Yes.
Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about
Us.
what is it like to be married?
Well, there's
because it's
something-
very new to us.
It is new to us. Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. I do have the tan line. I don't know if you can see that, but
He's very proud of this.
Tell about when I was going in Ireland. Was doing.
So we had the opportunity to go to Ireland for our honeymoon, and which is amazing. If you ever get the opportunity,
Dude.
please take the trip.
Castles everywhere.
And everywhere we went, he would it was like a name badge or whatever. He would come in like, "Hey, I'm married. You see this ring?
You see this ring?" Yeah.
So flashed it everywhere, and everybody's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, congratulations!" Like
Dude.
they'd seen a million wedding rings, but
So proud.
it was
though.
the greatest thing for Robert.
You kiss me right now. I love you. Kiss me.
Okay.
No, seriously though, I will say that this is something that I've been praying about for a long time and hadn't had the opportunity to do it, until I met the love of my life, and I knew that you were when I met you almost a year ago, a little over a year ago.
Yep.
But with that being said, it was really interesting for me as a man to emotionally and spiritually get ready to be a husband, because that is a different version of a human, especially the man, because you can be considered a man because of how many people you've beaten up or how much weight you can lift or how well you can fix a car or whatever. And that's cool. There is a form of masculinity that is very necessary to protecting a home, to maintaining a home, that is required. You got to be able to fight. You got to be able to protect your own. You got to be able to provide for your people. And you got to be resourceful as a man. But there's another, I guess, level of manhood that to me makes me fall more in love with Jesus Christ, because I realize why we were designed to be married in the first place. So when you love somebody, you show them that by your service and your sacrifice and the time that you spend with them. So as a man deciding to find one woman, even though that we are biologically wired to spread our seed as far and wide as we can, the act of denying your flesh and picking one person that you will then invest all of your love and all of your time into is a Christ-like act. In addition to that, the continual service in spite of that person's flaws, and I'm not saying yours specifically, but just the act of
everybody
continual
has
marriage.
flaws, and everybody has.
That's a Christ-like act too. So if you want to be more like Christ, the whole idea as a human is to find your partner and be married. That's why the covenant of marriage is so important. It's such a big deal.
And so attacked at the same time.
And so attacked. And so,
it's one of the biggest things that Satan tries to get in there and just attack, because it's such a picture of Christ. It's such a picture of we as his bride, and then him as our husband or the groom, waiting on us, preparing a place for us.
Being
and
patient
it's
with us.
That picture is what Satan wants to get in and destroy. That, it's just a flippant thing. You get married and then, you fall out of love, or
that's a choice.
Life happens, and you have to choose. You have to choose to give up, or you have to choose to love. And yes, I know there's some things happen where, people cheat and different things that are, hard to get over, and some things you shouldn't get over, like abuse and stuff that should be, you need to get away and get to safety if it's a dangerous situation. But you do have to choose to love somebody, and it's not always easy. And though we've only been married 3 months, we've had our times where it's like, okay, we got to work this out.
Yeah.
And we'd sit down and we're like, okay, we're going to figure it out, because
Hey, you know what,
quitting
though?
is not an option.
No.
And that's the thing.
I will say this, though. My favorite time that we figured things out, we were a little upset at each other. Hey, but you know what, though? I grabbed my wife and I slow danced with her.
Yeah.
That was
very sweet.
cool.
That
was beautiful.
It's kind of hard to be mad when you're slow dancing together.
But I think it's just trying to be intentional about making sure that we're okay. The man who married us, Mr. Whitson, one of the last things he said to me before I really crossed that line of manhood is you have to choose your wife. Your wife is your partner, and not just your partner in crime that you do part-time. That is by choosing her is choosing you, and by choosing her is choosing God. And so, I want to choose Olivia in every situation because I know that I will allow God to love her through me. And that's the point. And I really don't know if her and I would have come to either one of these conclusions had it not been because of what we went through. And we realized that some of the challenges that we face, either to communicate or to be patient with one another, or the lack of communication, like, why don't you understand what I'm trying to say with the limited words that just left my mouth, or lack thereof? Why don't you get it? But it's really cool, though, because we have so much more grace and patience with each other because of the very similar things that we endured. So it's a very unique blessing.
And that was one thing that as a woman going through January 6th, I didn't know I could find. Because especially in my situation, I was like pretty radical and decided to go against everything and cut an ankle monitor off and go on a run and become a fugitive. I wasn't sure if I could ever find somebody who would understand, somebody who would not look down on what I had done, because so many people in my life had either questioned my decisions or said, like, well, what do you expect to change? And so I had prayed, and I've been praying for a long time for God to bring me a husband that was, you know, for one, godly, and that would lead our family, but that also be on the same page. And so then, you know, when we got out and then we met, then it was that connection that, okay, I got somebody that not only, and I think that's why our relationship was so quick. Yeah. Because we had already been through that testing. We had already like proved ourselves. We
showed our true
and
colors.
Like, okay, if something happened, would you stand beside me? I knew Robert would, because he was literally standing beside me. Though we didn't know each other at the time, we were right in the same exact place, doing the same exact thing. And so I didn't have to question that. It wasn't like, oh, well, is my husband going to protect my family? No, I know for sure he will, because he already has, like, multiple times. And so that to me is a gift, and something that I, you know, didn't know if I'd have or not, but I know God gave me. And that's why it was so easy. Like when we did meet, I told my mom, which is kind of crazy, within 3 days of us talking, that I told her, I was like, if he asked me to marry him today, I would say yes. And she's like, what? That's so not like you. That is so not like, you're always just like, well, you know, or get tired of relations, like, oh, I got to talk with this person or whatever. It's just never been one to really date around much, just because I knew what I wanted. And if it wasn't that, then I wasn't going to waste anybody's time or mine. And so that was, you know, a huge gift, I think, that God did give us that time that we were alone, but yet at the end came together and was like, okay, you proved yourself. Now here you go. I got to work for you to do together that you can't do alone. And so I think that's
how could
cool.
we though too. And that's the other thing that really breaks my heart for other January 6ers that have spouses that don't understand what they went through. My advice to that situation is be patient. As a January 6er, be patient to the naive. As a non-January 6er, you know, who's looking at, you know, their presidentially pardoned January 6er spouse, please be patient with them too. Speaking from the veteran community, I know for a fact that a lot of what the January 6ers went through is very equatable. Is that a word? Relatable to combat stressors. So the fight or flight, the continual stress, anxiety, the continued deprivation of comfort, of camaraderie, of nutrients, has compelled the January 6ers into a very warlike state of mind that now they're back into society. How are they going to be able to reintegrate themselves? So it's very comparable to the plight of the veteran. So just please be patient. What I can say about my wife is that I'm a very lucky individual because she is a badass and smoking hot. And I do believe that Thomas Jefferson probably would ask you on a date if he was lucky enough.
Old Tommy J.
Old TJ.
I don't know about all that.
No, but truly, you know,
you're biased.
We were, well, you know, think about it though.
That's good though, I guess.
God did not make a mistake when either one of us went to January 6th, got locked up, and then ended up crossing each other's paths in Ocala, Florida. We were being designed for each other while we were in excruciating pain, which is, you know, a portion of what, you know, the January 6th movie is going to be about. because we use our relationship as a vehicle to tell the story of every January 6er, which is that of heartache yet hope, where you are being designed by fire to be able to lead others out of the furnace. And the other thing to consider that we actually heard the preacher say at church today was John 15, right? John 15, we were talking about I am the vine.
Yeah.
It was interesting to consider, this is so hard to even think about, that if you are in the vine, if you are with Christ, you will be pruned.
Yeah.
So you can bear more fruit. And that is a painful act.
And that's the same thing, like we were talking earlier, like God knew, that I wasn't going to get back on track, or I was going to waste the potential of actually doing something. So he took everything else away from me. He pruned it all away and sat me down. It was like, okay, get yourself back together. You have something to do. And that's the thing. That's what we learned. God wants to use every one of us. Mm-hmm. And he's just waiting for us to want to be used. And that's what is such a humbling thing, that the God of the universe wants to use us individually. And we can get a little bit more into that later. But yeah, it doesn't matter who you are. God's got a plan for you.
Or how
got a
broken
purpose.
your heart is.
Yeah.
It's probably broken on purpose to be filled by Christ.
Yeah. So we'll be back in just a minute.
Beneath the Texas sky, I can rope and ride like Daddy, and I never ever cried. But now the world's a-changing. Girls must cover up to their eyes. Don't wanna be sold to some old man, I'd really rather die. So just go home. Just go home. Just go home. Sharia law's not welcome over here. Just go home. Take your medieval rules and stick them in your ear. Just go home. Your Sharia law will never rule our land. Just go home. We've got the Second Amendment to help you just go home. Just go home. Just go home. Take your hijabs back, better pack your burqas too. Just go home. God's blessed Texas and the other 49 too. Just go home. Don't Sharia my Texas, just go home. Don't Sharia my Texas, just go home. Oh, the yellow rose of Texas that I'm gonna see. Nobody else could miss her, not half as much as me. She cried so when I left her, it nearly broke my heart. And if I ever find her, we never more will part. Oh, the yellow rose of Texas that I'm gonna see. Nobody else could miss her, not half as much as me. She cried so when I left her, it nearly broke my heart. And if I ever find her, we never more will part. Just go home. Don't Sharia my Texas, just go home.
And we're back to the Morss Clan podcast, where you're learning a lot about us all in a very short amount of time. We hope you enjoy it. Our vulnerability through the America First Warehouse Network is something that we recognize will help others to be vulnerable enough to face their fears. You know, it's interesting to consider that in order to be brave, you have to admit where your weaknesses are so that they can be confronted. And that's actually something that we talked about before we committed to this podcast. Olivia is not a fan of speaking, which is ironic, though, because I met her at a speaking engagement, which makes no sense to me.
Thing, like,
she spoke so well.
With the January 6th thing, like, I saw my country dying. I saw that if we didn't speak up, and because we hadn't spoken up, is why we were in the situation that we were. And that's why God is like, okay. I felt like Moses, like, Lord, no, I'm not a speaker. I'm not going to talk. And God was like, no, but you have something that you need to say, because if you don't, who will?
Yeah.
And I was put in that situation and it was almost like given a warning sign, and I could choose whether I wanted to wave it or not. And I feel like that as January 6ers, like, we were given the gift of being thrown into the den of lions, but we get to come out and say, you can survive, you know, God can get you through it. And both of us, we have a little bit different stories, but God did get us through it. And some, you know, Robert lost family members, and I've lost people that were close to me that don't talk to me anymore. And it is tough. And I know there's so many that, you know, they lost spouses, they lost, you know, family, that
their homes, their jobs,
right, and livelihoods, everything, and savings, and just had to come out totally broken, had to restart. And that mentally is huge. Let alone knowing that your government literally, you know, looked at you as an enemy, though the reason that you went there was the complete opposite.
It's a total mind trip for sure. What I can say, though, is that if we don't do something about it, it's going to happen again, and it's going to get even worse, because the one thing that I think kept the left from destroying our lives and the Democrats from inflicting as much pain as possible, or calling for kill shots to be done in the prison system, which is very easily carried out, where we were essentially cast into exile in, was the looming threat of Trump and, you know, his determination to pardon us. So we are setting out to make sure through film that something like this never happens to us again, never happens to you, whether you're a January 6er or someone who believes in the same things like we do, like the Constitution or that Jesus is king, because the left will come after you. But unless they are checked by a supreme power that they reckon, they will do anything within their own grasp to ruin your life. And we consider the possibility that the American people will rise to the occasion, given enough courage, based off the vulnerability of my wife and I, by telling not just our story, but the story of the Freedom Corner. And you've got another show that you can tune into, The Front Porch, where the ladies of the Freedom Corner are going to tell you exactly what it was like to fight for the January 6th political prisoners out of the gulag, you know, on the America First Warehouse, where that story is incorporated. We also incorporate how FBI agents were ripped off of child sex trafficking and pedophile cases to pursue January 6ers and how they wrestle with that. So we try to paint with a very wide brush. We include as many January 6ers and their plight as possible, using the love story of Olivia and I as a vehicle to elucidate the truth of January 6th, what happened that day, and then what happened after. See, January 6th could have been, you know, a day that, you know, would have lived in infamy, fine. But what happened after January 6th is just as terrifying, if not worse, because yes, the lobster trap of January 6th is egregious and should never be forgotten. However, what happened after that, the raids, the political warfare, the denial of constitutional rights, the destruction of families, of innocent people that have no criminal background whatsoever. Don't even get me started on that. And then the demonization of the police and the veterans who had already paid the ultimate sacrifice up to and including their lives that were completely tarnished because of the imposter President Joe Biden and his corrupt Department of Justice. I mean, I can't tell you how crazy it was to feel like I'm in a Twilight Zone episode in real life when, after having served my country honorably, deployed to Afghanistan 3 times in 3 combat deployments, then being hunted like Taliban by my own government because I'm a high school history teacher and I want to teach my students real history. I'm thrown into a cell of solitary confinement in my nation's capital. And I look out from the small window of my cell and I see on the television at the end of the hallway, the Afghan pullout, the smoke of Bagram going up in flames on the television screen, and then cut to a freaking completely underqualified zombie like Joe Biden tell me that I'm a domestic terrorist, I'm an insurrectionist, and that we should be hunted. So what we're trying to do, and the stage that we're at now in development of the movie, is our script is being reviewed by numerous professionals within the Hollywood world. It has been critique after critique after critique so that the movie that we come out with is incredible. And even the defactors, even the people are going to hate this thing because it's pro-Trump or pro-God or pro-January 6th, are going to be forced to admit that was a pretty good movie. And poor Olivia's had to tolerate a lot of meetings and calls and work in the middle of the night, and her story being told in a way that kind of wrestles with what did or did not happen to protect the lives of others who kept her safe. But this is an endeavor that has taken a lot of our time so that what happened to us doesn't happen to you and doesn't happen to our future kids.
Yeah, because it's that important. Like we were saying when we started this segment was, I don't like speaking in front of people. I don't like putting my business out there, or I'm a very private person. And, I'm more of the observer. I like to sit back and watch everybody else or people watch, but it's that important. Like, it's that important that you have to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to do things you're uncomfortable with. You have to be willing to, take the next step, because what we've been doing is not working. And what we've been doing for years and years and years of, somebody else will take care of it. Somebody more qualified will take up the mantle or whatever. And
that's how we got here.
That's how we got to where we were. And that's what I realized, after I was arrested. I'm like, crap, all the warning signs were there leading up to that. All the, things we could have learned of, things we could have spoken out against were there for years, and we never said anything. And that's why, it escalated to a point that until we were affected by it, it didn't bother us enough to step out and do something about it.
A lot of the reasons why that happened, I would say, babe, is because the culture was so warped in opposition to freedom, liberty, and Christ. And for a very long time, arguably since, the communists officially took over Hollywood, which is the reason why people like John Wayne and Ronald Reagan, Clint Eastwood, and Heston, Charlton Heston got, a really big spotlight put on them, is because they were calling out the communists in Hollywood. Well, those people didn't go away, man.
Yeah.
They just became more entrenched, and they hijacked, the pinnacle of culture, which frankly is how you control minds. And so you have an entire generation in America, several actually, that have been completely usurped mentally and in a way spiritually. The fate of our nation has been decided by the culture. And so we're going on the offensive in the culture war, and our first film, Love on the Run, of many at Lego Men Productions, is to beat back what the enemy has tried to steal from the American, which is the freedom of thought, which is the will and freedom of choice to be free in the first place. And so Love on the Run is a effort to not only teach and inspire so that other people either have the courage to show up when the time comes, or to understand what January 6th was so that they don't, continue to parrot the headlines from CNN. But it's also designed to be the first of many movies that we will end up using to our advantage to make sure that the communists don't abduct any more minds. Because I can tell you this right now, with every mind that we bring over to our side of liberty, of the republic, of freedom, actually adds one more day to the survival of our country. So with every mind adds one more day of survival of our republic. And so it's our job to start changing minds so that the worst case scenario doesn't happen. Because at that point in time, we'll never get our country back. So we would rather make movies, and we are well on our way. We're going to beat Sean Penn to the punch. I know that some of you guys might be looking into the fact that Sean Penn and Bradley Cooper, what a traitor that guy is. First he's Chris Kyle, now he wants to be Finoni Baloney. Give me a break. So we're going to beat him to the punch, and, you know, we've already got an amazing script. We're praying heavily about who's going to direct this thing, who's going to edit this thing, who the EP is going to be. And I have no background in film, but I know that in order to save my country, I have to swan dive into this, embrace this, and learn this thing on the run, build a company and a movie at the exact same time, because it's worth it. And as far as I can tell, that's what I know for a fact I was designed to do, and it's what I must do in order to save my country. So I encourage you, if you have no idea how to save your country, but you're being pushed into this arena, embrace it, man. Yeah. We're way smart enough to learn. Neuroplasticity is something else we were talking about earlier today.
Right. We've been learning a lot about that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of that.
A lot of that.
New roads.
But you can do it. And you already know what you have to do
amazing.
To save this country.
Our brain is so moldable, and so, you know, we have the ability to learn so much, and because of the convenience and the way our society is, we've got to change that so we become better people. We become, you know, more equipped with what we need to do the work.
There is nothing more dangerous than a free-thinking human to tyranny. Mark my words. And that's why they hate you, and that's why they hate your freedom of thought, and that's why they would rather tell you what to think, so that they tell you what to think, and you think it's your thought, and then you think, I have to offer up my rights, and then you realize I'm in a jail cell forever. Stay tuned.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. You know, people at the warehouse are always asking me, Gino, you show up smelling like freedom every day, even though you live in the cesspool that is the socialist New York City. How do you do it? Sugar Creek Goods. Sugar Creek Goods is made by patriots and has a full line of incredible products, including soaps and lotions, and even this that you use for your dog, Patriot Puffs. My wife makes me use that. But people, please, get your own. Go to sugarcreekgoods.com/TAFW. See ya.
Hey, Paul, I was having a pillow fight with Gino's wife.
Me too.
Yeah.
She's not supposed to stay up that late.
I have the video. And now let me tell you, talk about soft. When I think soft pillows, I think of, other than Gino's wife, mypillow.com. Because these are the best pillows you're ever going to get. You can go to mypillow.com /TAFW. Go now, get your My Pillow. Right now.
The America First Ultra MAGA store. For all your MAGA needs. We sell t-shirts, tumblers, flags, hats, sneakers, bumper stickers, and a whole lot more. The most patriotic America First retail store. The America First Ultra MAGA store.
Hey, Paul, you know what's more disappointing than Gino Bisconte? Bad cell service.
I can hear you.
What?
I can hear you. I'm right here. It's not like you're on your cell phone talking about me.
You know, we could have called each other is what you're going.
Using Patriot Mobile?
Just put in our group text.
Which works all over the country. And how would they get it if they wanted to be red, white, and blown away? Does that work?
Smash the little black box.
Huh? PatriotMobile.com/T.
You know, I got to tell you, a lot of my followers are asking, hey, Midnight, where are you getting all that energy from? I say, you want to know the truth? I take about 25 milligrams of Adderall a day. But that eventually ends, and then that's where Agara coffee comes in. I start drinking this stuff, and it boosts my energy. It shoots me right through to the moon. If you're not drinking Agara coffee, and you need that extra boost during the middle of the day, I'm telling you right now, get this into your system, and I promise you that it will absolutely take you to a whole nother level. Midnight, I am out. 1, 2, 3. Woo!
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free. In the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
And we're back.
Welcome back. This is the Morss Clan podcast. We're so glad you're here with us.
We're so glad. We really are. It's kind of dope. I hope you guys are having a good time like we are. We've talked about a lot already, and we can't wait to keep doing this. We're going to do this, twice a month?
Yep.
Through the American First Warehouse Network?
We'll be on.
Every other week, we'll come say hi and give you updates on what we're up to. But we also want to help out others along the way. So this is going to be a platform for other businesses, other books, potentially other candidates that we think are going to do well within the January 6th realm. We want to build up January 6ers. We want to, man, there's so much division in our community. But if we were able to come together, do you know how unstoppable we'd be? I think it's Ronald Reagan that has a quote that says something to the effect of, like, no one knows what can be accomplished as long as no one else, or no one cares who gets the credit or something like that. Something amazing. And I feel terrible because I was just at the Reagan Library. But credit has a lot to do with holding people back. Comparison is the thief of joy. And that's a Teddy Roosevelt quote, which just opened up his library, by the way, which is pretty cool. But, man, imagine how powerful we'd be. Imagine if we were able to come together who, I get it. We all have our battle scars and all our wounds and whatnot. We're able to bury the hatchet and get behind this thing so that it doesn't happen to us again. We're not going to have a Trump come save us, and everybody that's bickering amongst themselves are not powerful enough to bust everyone out of jail when we go back if we were to fail. So it's imperative that we spread the word and back each other up. So we're going to be boosting businesses, books, candidates, you name it on this podcast. Can you point to our book that we have thus far?
Oh,
we have the Still There book. Go buy it on Amazon. There's actually a couple scenes from the movie that we're working on ripped from the book in that. So go to Amazon, type in Still There. It is a book so that you can learn about what being a January 6th political prisoner was like without having to storm the Capitol. 3.5 years of my time behind bars, codified in 41 short stories. So you could read one short story a night and get through it in a little over a month. And you'll know exactly what I went through. But even now, I still remember stories that I neglected to throw in there. So it's a lot. 3.5 years is a lot. It's like almost it's almost a 600-page book. But don't let that scare you. It's necessary to read so that you can be motivated to make sure that liberty survives us. We only have this thing temporarily because enough people are willing to do something. But we will lose it. We don't inherit freedom in the bloodstream, like Ronald Reagan said. This is how we maintain it, by speaking to one another and fighting the good fight and educating one another. We also wanted to mention how in the beginning, when only 3% of the colonial population was willing to fight the British so that we could be free within our 250th year, right, of America. We're so excited to be the longest lasting republic, though we're not really acting like one right now. We still believe that one of the ways that the republic was ignited was by meeting in places, whether it was taverns or basements or what have you. There was a place to go meet. There was a place that you could find like-minded patriots that were willing to go to war on behalf of liberty and their family and their God. So we wanted to mention the America First Warehouse exclusive membership that's brewing as of right now. You need to log on and talk to Joe the Box, because there is an initiative to provide that kind of shelter with the initiative he's got to provide a safe place for patriots, not just through the America First Warehouse that you can find on Long Island, but stay tuned, because we are going to be able to promote a membership that you can find individuals like January 6ers or, former mayors or what have you that are going to be a part of this thing, to lock shields and know that as a part of this group, you don't have to ask any questions. Everyone's down for the cause and everyone wants to save this country. So it's going to be exciting. And we love to hear what you have to say. And we also want to incorporate some feedback from the audience. So if there's a particular story you'd like to hear from us that you can't find in the books yet, Olivia is in the middle of making her own book. If there's a story that you want to hear that you haven't heard yet that you'd like us to tell on this podcast, let us know.
Yeah. And like you said, with the community, that was, I think, the biggest thing that we lost or took for granted after January 6th. So many of us were, knocked off social media. So much were, through COVID, we got isolated and they cut us off from each other. And that's their whole plan, is to keep us isolated, keep us alone. And so that one thing as a January 6er, and that helped me the most to not only kind of work everything that happened out in my own mind, but just to help me to, move on and to realize, it's not over. There's still a purpose, is to talk about it and to get with other people that talk about it, though it's hard to find people that understand.
There's actually more out there than you think.
Yeah, but just to get together and make the effort, though you don't feel like I'm sick of going out or people don't understand and you're always the radical one or whatever. Get out there and talk to people, because there's more of them than you think. There's more of us than they want you to believe.
Yes.
And they tried to erase us. They knocked us off our platforms. Broke us.
Can I back you up on that?
Yeah.
Nick Shirley actually revealed how the same people that are writing in one city are actually the same people writing in another. And these are international idiots. So if you think that there's armies of Antifa nationwide, you're wrong. They're being shipped around all of these cities to act like they have these large oppressive numbers. And then they prove it to you on social media like, oh my gosh, look, another thing got burned down. Nah, dude, it's the same bunch of, I want to swear so bad. There's a bunch of the same people being literally transported around the country to make you think that you're outnumbered, and you're not, man. Join the fight. There's way more of us than there are them. And I'll tell you what, it only takes 3%. That's right. Cue the quote for me, baby. We want to leave you with a very encouraging quote by one of our founding fathers, Sam Adams. And it reads, "It does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority, keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men." So we challenge you to do that. We challenge you to follow the footsteps of our founding fathers. Whether you tune into this podcast or not, vote with your dollar, vote with your presence, show up to elections, to protests. Yeah, speak out, make your voice heard. Because I'll tell you one thing, the reason why they hunted my wife and I as passionately as they did was because we actually scared them on January 6th. 2 million people showed up that day, and we shocked the world, but especially the traitors on American soil, that we are not done, that this country will live on, and that its people are going to keep it. It is our responsibility to keep this republic.
Yeah, and they wanted to not only shut us down, but they wanted to intimidate anyone else who thought of doing something like that to stand. And that's why everything that happened to us was so public. That's why we're in all the newspapers. That was why they came and did the raids like they were so loud, and they wanted to shut anybody else who thought of doing it.
They wanted to scare you.
And so that's why, we need, and what we want to do with this podcast, and we want you all to do wherever you are, is to start brush fires and to keep those brush fires going so it becomes a wildfire. And then we end up with a country that's, saved, because at this point, like, we are sick and dying. And unless we do something different quickly, we need a wildfire to come through and to burn up all the crap and to prune away all the stuff that's been useless and killing us. And
here's something else to consider too. Satan is a bitch. I'll do that. One swear word. If you, then again, female dog. It's a female dog. Satan is a female dog. But the only time that he ever had the guts to come after Jesus, when Jesus was tired, hungry, because he'd been fasting for 40 days, and alone.
Yeah.
There's another reason why Jesus said, when 2 or more are gathered, I'm among them. You want to know why? Because when Jesus is there, Satan cannot be. He only goes after people that are isolated. So get out, join a community, hang out with people. But remember that Satan is a bitch, and he goes after you when you're alone, when you're tired, and when you're hungry. So eat the living word every single day. Man does not live on bread alone. Start your day by reading the Bible, and then read more books, not something on your phone, because that ruins your eyes and your brain and everything else. There's a lot of research to back that up. Pick a book, like as you see on our bookshelf back here. Maybe it's called Still There. I don't know. Pick a book and start reading it, and then find people who do. Join a gym. Get healthy, because quite literally, your own freedom might fall on your own strength and ability to maintain it physically. We hope that it doesn't come to that. So we're doing everything we can right now to emotionally, intelligently, and articulate why we need this freedom. and fight like civilized men in the courts, in verbal debates and discussion, but get your history right and be motivated to save this country. Because should we decide as one big patriot family to last another 250 years, it might require what we're calling the American Renaissance.
Yes.
And if you would like to see that in your lifetime, rediscover what made America great in the first place. Because yes, it was Jesus Christ, and all glory, power, and honor remains to him and him alone. But there was also a small minority of men who were willing to light brush fires in the minds of other men. Why did they do this? Why did they feel compelled to do that? It was based off of thousands of years of work, toil, and research and literature that made these men decide, we're going to take on the greatest empire the world has ever seen, provide freedom for people we'll never meet. And we hope that as a result of this podcast and all of our work at Lego Men Productions, you too feel that same brush fire in your mind, and you too want to spread the contagious feeling of liberty from sea to shining sea.
That's right. It takes responsibility, and it takes willingness to be used. And so that's what we encourage you to do. Get out there and be used. Do something.
Used by God.
Yes.
Not by the enemy.
Yeah. Clarify that.
Clarify that real quick.
But God doesn't force it on us. He used the founding fathers to give us a nation, and he's going to use us to keep it. And so it's exciting. All hope is not lost. We can't wait to come back and join you again for the next episode. But
thanks for tuning in to the Morss Clan podcast.
That's it, folks.
Beacon for all to see, a symbol of hope, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall.